There is a moment you know well. Someone asks you for something, and before you've even decided how you feel about it, before you've checked whether you have the time, the energy, the desire, you hear yourself say it. Yes, of course, no problem. And somewhere underneath, quieter than the word that left your mouth, was the truth. You meant no. You've probably told yourself a story about why this keeps happening, and tonight I think that story is wrong. The story usually goes like this: you're too soft, you're spineless, you're a pushover with no backbone, you're a doormat, and people walk all over you because you let them. It's a harsh story, and the cruelest part is that you tell it to yourself. You watch yourself agree to things you resent, apologize for things that weren't your fault, shrink yourself to keep the peace, and you conclude that the problem is your character, that you are simply weak. But what if the thing you've been calling a character flaw was never a flaw at all? What if it was a survival skill, one your nervous system learned so well that it now runs without asking you first? Most of us have heard of fight, flight, and freeze. When the brain detects a threat, it picks one. You attack the danger, you run from it, or you go still and small until it passes. But there is a fourth response, and for a long time, it didn't have a name. A therapist named Pete Walker, working with survivors of long-term childhood trauma, gave it one. He called it the Fawn response. Fawning is when you survive a threat not by fighting it, not by fleeing it, not by freezing, but by pleasing it. By making yourself useful, agreeable, easy to be around. By becoming exactly what the other person needs, so they have no reason to hurt you. Walker noticed this in people who grew up where anger wasn't safe and leaving wasn't possible. A child can't fight a parent. A child can't run away from home. So some children learn a different trick. Read the powerful person in the room and keep them happy. Disappear your own needs before they become a problem. That isn't weakness. That is a frightened, intelligent system finding the only exit it could reach. To understand why this feels automatic, we have to go below thought. The neuroscientist Stephen Porges describes a process he calls neuroception, the nervous system's constant unconscious scan for cues of safety and danger. You are not deciding to feel safe or unsafe. Your body is reading faces, tones, and postures and reaching a verdict before you're even aware a question was asked. In his polyvagal model, when neuroception detects safety, you settle into a calm, connected state, open, relaxed, yourself. But when it senses threat, older circuits take over. And for the Fawn type, the appeasement program is part of that toolkit. The body decides the room is unsafe, and the smoothing, agreeing, accommodating begins, automatically, before you arrive to vote on it. At the center of that scan sits the amygdala, the brain's threat alarm. The neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux mapped how the amygdala can trigger a fear response through a fast, subcortical pathway, a shortcut that fires before the thinking brain has caught up. It's built for speed, not accuracy, because for most of our history, a half-second's hesitation in front of a predator could cost you everything. Here's what matters for people-pleasing. To a social animal like us, a disapproving face is a predator. A frown, a cooling tone, the sense that someone is pulling away, the amygdala flags it as danger, and it does this faster than you can think your way out of it. By the time you notice you're anxious, the appeasement has already started. And there's a reason rejection feels less like an idea and more like an injury. In 2003, two UCLA researchers, Naomi Eisenberger and Matthew Lieberman, ran a now famous study published in the journal Science titled, "Does Rejection Hurt?" They put people in a brain scanner and had them play a simple online ball game, which was secretly rigged so the other players stopped passing to them. Quietly, gently, they were being excluded. When the exclusion hit, a region called the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex lit up. The striking part, that's one of the same regions that registers physical pain. The brain processes the ache of being left out using circuitry it built for bodily injury. So when you fear someone's displeasure, you are not being dramatic. To your nervous system, social rejection genuinely hurts. People-pleasing is, in part, your brain trying to keep you out of pain. But why does one person fawn while another fights? A lot of the answer is learned, and it's learned early. The psychiatrist John Bowlby and the psychologist Mary Ainsworth gave us attachment theory. Ainsworth's famous strange situation experiment showed that infants develop predictable patterns based on how their caregivers respond to them. When care is warm and consistent, a child tends toward secure attachment. When care is inconsistent, sometimes loving, sometimes rejecting, never quite predictable, a child can develop an anxious, insecure attachment. And an anxiously attached child learns a survival strategy that looks a lot like fawning. Stay tuned to the other person, anticipate their moods, and earn safety by being good. That strategy doesn't disappear when you grow up. It just follows you into your friendships, your relationships, your job, every room with someone whose approval you need. There's one more layer, and it's the hook that keeps the pattern alive. In 2008, the neuroscientist Keisuke Izuma and colleagues published a study in the journal Neuron, showing that receiving a good reputation, being approved of, being liked, activates the striatum, a core part of the brain's reward system. And it lit up the same region that responds to winning money. Approval isn't just relief from threat, it's a genuine reward, a little hit of good. So the loop completes itself. Saying yes ends the threat and delivers a reward. Relief on one side, a dopamine glow on the other. No wonder it's hard to stop. And for many people, there's a deep evolutionary logic to it. The psychologist Shelley Taylor proposed that under stress, humans don't only fight or flee, we also tend and befriend. We draw closer, soothe and bond, because connection itself has kept our species alive. Keeping the people around you on your side was never foolish. For most of human history, it was how you survived the winter. This is why the advice to just say no tends to fail, because by the time you're aware of the moment, the decision has already been made, downstairs in the older, faster parts of the brain. The amygdala has flagged the threat, the body has braced for the pain of rejection, and the appeasement program has begun running before the part of you that reads self-help books even gets a turn. You're not lacking willpower. You're being asked to out-argue a reflex that fires before thought. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not a doormat with no backbone. You are running an old safety program, one your nervous system installed when it was the smartest thing it could do. Somewhere, at some time, fawning kept you safe. It earned you warmth, or it lowered the temperature. Or it got you through a childhood where being agreeable was the price of peace. It worked. That's why it stayed. The problem was never your character. The problem is that a program built for a dangerous past is still running in a present that may be far safer than it knows. You're not failing at being a normal person. You're succeeding brilliantly at a survival task that's no longer the task in front of you. That's a very different thing to forgive in yourself. And once you can see it, you can begin to work with it. Not by force, by noticing. The fawn response has a body. Learn to feel it firing. That sudden flood of anxiety when someone's mood shifts, the urge to apologize before you've done anything wrong. The yes that's halfway out before you've checked whether you mean it. The slight nausea, the tight chest, the smile that doesn't reach your eyes. These are not your personality. These are alarm bells. and an alarm is just information. Here is the distinction worth keeping. Genuine kindness comes from a settled, open place. You give because you have it to give, and you'd be just as whole if you'd said no. Fear-driven appeasement comes from threat. You give to make the bad feeling stop. Same action on the outside, completely different engine underneath. The test is simple. Could I have said no here and still felt safe? If the honest answer is no, that wasn't kindness. That was fawning. And the first real skill is the smallest one. It's the pause, the single breath you put between the ask and the automatic yes. You don't have to say no. You only have to say, "Let me get back to you." That tiny gap is where your thinking brain catches up to your reflex, where you finally get to vote. Because no is not a personality you were denied at birth. It's a skill. And a nervous system that learned to fawn can learn, slowly and with patience, to feel safe even when someone is disappointed in you. You will still feel the pull. The old program doesn't vanish, it quiets. But every time you notice it instead of obeying it, you teach your nervous system something it never got to learn the first time round. That you can be safe and seen and still keep yourself. That the people worth keeping won't leave when you finally show up. And that the truest kindness you can offer anyone begins with one quiet, unfamiliar act. Telling the truth about what you want. If this gave you a gentler way to see yourself, consider subscribing. Every week we sit with one more idea about why the mind does what it does and what it means for the way you live. Take care of your mind, and I'll see you in the next one.